Shalom. This is an emergency broadcast alert giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Wakakadash, in whom we are in great depth. All honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, who will well continue doing so, standing firm in the eyes of terror, who I learned this truth from. To the elders, the bishops, Akim and Aquab, salutations and blessings to the house of David. We are the hopeful elect of GMS. This is your brother Quasiar with another quick one. In reality, I don't know how quick, because there are some clips I need to patch together, and I'm pretty much doing it right now on the raw because the Lord just gave it to me, and so I was working on something else, and I had to stop because this calls for it, because I've made several other videos on this, and I've called it the deal of the century. This is the fact. Esau Edom likes to create chaos and, come and say, we're going to do this to correct it. He does that with the land also. He destroys, he makes deals. He tells you that there are enemies, but he created the enemy in order for him to get his agenda done, for lack of better words. What am I getting at? Esau Edom, so-called white man, has always planned to destroy his brother from the very beginning. This is what is going on right now. This is all the plan to control, because he knows, he has seen that he cannot get rid of his brother. So he came up with a plan, which is Yahweh Ba'ashin Yahweh Shai's plan, of course, because it's written. The scripture is written and it's playing out. But what Esau Edom believes is that he needs to control everything and everyone. And the only way he has the power to do that is he has to become as the living power. That's written also. That's scriptural. So, the deal of the century, the videos that I've been talking about, is actually being fulfilled as we speak, because we all know that all roads lead to the mark of the beast, and this is what's happening. So Esau Edom has created this war in order for him to get the masses together in one accord, to get this worldwide deal. Right? For instance, before Trump went to see Maduro, he spoke to when I meant went to see Maduro is when he went and attacked Maduro. All right, he went to see Putin because Putin backs him up. Right, so they had a deal. They made a deal back doors where that deal we'll never hear of. All right, so most of the time when they make a deal, everything else is as war as usual. All right, when the thing broke out in Ukraine, who was in there? Biden's son. When now, for instance, now, just it has to be now in June, right? June 6th, I think it was. Well, that they mentioned that the nations got together, and then they got a video. I'm gonna look for it. But China, what did Trump just do? All right, and amongst this chaos is going on in the war, because they know, I mean, it's like you don't know. You don't know because he likes to build back better. This is always his plan, right? After destruction, he builds back better. What did he do with the CEOs? Trump went to see China, right? And now what happened? China just breaking news, right? Just China just said that they have the chip. I'm gonna get the video also. I gotta get the video. There's certain things. I'm just talking out loud and getting you prepped, in other words, for what I'm about to show you, because it's the deal of the century that's folding. It's unfolding. All right. So, with that said, also, you remember when they said that they shot down some jet planes, $1 million planes, and they went in there to get those planes out, but they had to blow them up because they couldn't get out the materials and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's real. This is bullshit. excuse my French. What if I tell you if that they went to deliver some goods so they can deliver, so they went to deliver some goods so Iran can actually do, or should I say fulfill, certain things that they needed, so when China asks them to do something, they won't back up, and this war will come down because they are going to make this background deal that's going to connect the deal of the century. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. It's not what I'm talking about. It's what Esau Edom always does. The scripture always tells us, do not trust thy enemy, although he crouches, right? So he humbled himself. He gonna stab you in the back regardless. That's his motto. That's the way he is. Everything he's done, if you look back in history, that's what he's done. He humbled himself, and if something didn't go according to what he wanted, he blew everything up. And then came back and said, let's build back better. We can help you build back better.
To resume the tempo that it was at before the negotiations started. But we do see Iran is refusing to give up their nuclear material. And I think that's a hard red line.
Now, taking us back a couple of years, this is 1986, when I was just a young lad. You can see the change that has taken place, and it kind of makes you question whether we've been lied to all along. But here's Joe Biden. Listen to him.
If we look at the Middle East, I think it's about time we stop, those of us who support, as most of us do, Israel in this body, for apologizing for our support for Israel. There's no apology to be made. None. It is the best $3 billion investment we make. Were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region. The United States would have to go out and invent an Israel.
Isn't that a little bit interesting, Mike, looking back?
It's funny how they've changed so many times.
Yeah, 1986 was that clip from Joe Biden. Here we have the video of the Iranians flooding the streets during the missile launch. Soda. So let me just give you an example. If you've got a big bravado dude and he's married to a wife who really calls the shots, it's usually the bravado dude that stands up and says, I'm the man here. I'm the one calling the shots. And I don't know if that's what we're seeing with Trump and Netanyahu.
All right, so he talks a lot and says a lot of different things. So I am just going to listen to what's important, because all I want you to understand now, and I'm not doing what the ignorant does, that shows you just little clips and bits just to get a specific point or manipulate a point. That's not what I'm doing whatsoever here. Because if you're listening carefully, you can understand that what I'm showing you is actual parts of clips that someone already made, and I am fulfilling the whole conversation of that clip. So I'm not cutting the clip in the midst of the conversation or what they're saying to get something done. You can hear the whole thing. And I'm going to squeeze this scripture in here because it's important. Revelations 13, verse 16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, say he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. That was the King James Bible, but reading it in the NLT, it says, he requires everyone. Who's the he? Esau, Edom, so-called white man. Is required. You see what happened? Is no one thought about it. No one was talking about it. But Trump visits China, and China comes up with this. Now, listen to this.
Neuralink is really advanced, but this just came out. It's called Baynow 2, and that's the brain chip that China is working on to do these kinds of things. And what it is your thoughts control you now with this chip. So it would enable you to think, to get and talk with other devices to control your life. So when you're disabled, you have paralysis, eyesight issues, this will make up for that. A really good thing, but a bad signal for the fact that we now are behind in this area here in this country.
Well,
and I'm going to cut that short because that's what Trump has done, okay? Because it's part of a network. Remember what happened in Vietnam. Vietnam won the war, but America won the commercial aspect of it. Okay, when I say commercial aspect, I mean the buying and selling of commercial goods. All right, they are the ones who produce everything America buys everywhere around the world. All right, they have given them that, but America gets the biggest chunk of that.
and it's amazing that you could, most people would say, I'm not putting a computer chip in my brain. It's too early to even know how that's going to affect me. But if you're paralyzed or if you can't see,
sign me up.
And this is exactly.
Sign me up in a minute. I mean, if you're in that stage in life where that kind of disability has presented itself to you, I would try anything. This is
sure. Why not? Hold on a second. I got something else better for you. Look. So Trump says he will meet major AI firm and consider a plan to give Americans a stake in those companies. And don't be surprised if you have a Jake woman to be the first one, like they did, and they already have a woman, a so-called black woman, ahead of Neuro. Right, I made a video on that already. All right, she's the first woman, first so-called black woman to be the head of neuro transplants. All right, so Trump is going to give America. There's going to be a lot of women in certain places that are going to step up to this and say that's the best thing that ever happened to them. Meanwhile, the ones that die, they're not going to show you that.
Out there's so much money and it's so big that there are concepts where pieces could be given to the American public, where the American public essentially...
And it's funny that I mentioned that because you see the clock on the video? Man.
Becomes a partner with the companies, and I will tell you, I have spoken to all of them. there's something very interesting about it where
Trump, man, I hate when this thing does that. Here we go. Trump to meet with artificial intelligence companies on government profit share plans as soon as next week. You see this sellout, right? Wasn't he screaming the other day, "Oh, we gotta work and make this country better. We can't let them do this and do that." But then he's turning around and do this. Barney Sanders wants Americans to own a piece of AI. The Trump White House seems to agree. Really, bro? Look, man, you don't need a data center in New York, right? Per se. Because it says state, New York State. What about the city? Hello, you don't need a data center in New York, period. They could be all around New York. I know you've seen this picture before. That's about to happen to New York. Regardless what they say. So how they doing it? They making these backdoor deals while they keep you entertained with this BS. All right, this is part of it. The war, the oil, all that stuff is part of it. It's all a game. It's a war game. That's what they call it, a war game. All right, so this is a lot of BS because they know in the 1930s they didn't have the technology they have today. But what these land have in common, Canada, Greenland, what do they have in common? They are very cold. And these machines are very hot. And they know they're going to have a backlash here in America with people. They're already having problems. That's why they need the land, Canada and Greenland, for it. And so, again, it's just propaganda because they don't need to take over the land. They already have a military base. All they have to do is build around that. You know, they don't have to take the land over. Making backdoor deals. That's it. Simple as that. See this? I can't make this up. I was saying, you know, the deal of the century, right? And what Elon Musk says? Taunts universal income as remedy to AI-driven unemployment. Universal income. So now they are, how should I say, what's the word? Look, they're pointing in that direction, for lack of better words. All right, because this is, they already got China. They already got Putin. You might not say so. You might not think so. You know, but they need to get Iran, because Iran is backed up by a lot of other people. It's like, how should I put this, man? Look, this is my brother, man. And I can't go and take my brother out, man. I have good relationships with his family. We got good ties. If you can convince him, then then we could make some moves. But if he doesn't want to do it, we're not going to force him. We're not going to, we can't just destroy the land and remove them. So, try to do the best you can to convince him. I'm pretty sure you could come up with some ideas. This is what's happening with Iran right now. Iran have the best. Who do you think China has working with that AI in that chip business going on? AI. I mean, I know China is very advanced with their technology, but guess what? Iran is the one who has the ability, the know-how to mess with these brains, man, to go inside and connect these things in the brain. The Lord has done that, man, for a reason. It's a connection. All right, so while they making backdoor deals, they showing you this. Okay, I'm about to play this. This is what's going on. In the reality of things, you can't deny that is. Okay, look, there is some truth to this because it's happening in real life. Real people are dying. This is how Esau Edom does things. Remember, he creates the chaos, the destruction, and then comes back and says, listen, we can build back better. We can make a deal. We can actually make peace out of this. It can happen. He always does that. He always comes down with the same. It's the same playbook, man.
To avoid this trap of the Security Council and the veto power?
Well, thank you, Brother Talar, for asking this question. We will not allow the Security Council to run away from its responsibility. They have a mandate given to them by the Charter of the UN to maintain international peace and security. And what is happening in our region, what is happening in Palestine is a threat to international peace and security, and they have to elevate themselves to the level of addressing this issue. That's number one. Number two, they adopted Resolution 2803, which it said, among other things, that no to annexation, no to occupation, and also the whole process that should lead for self-determination and statehood for the Palestinian people. They all agreed, and it was introduced initially by the United States of America, and nobody voted against it in the Security Council. We want the Security Council to honor and respect its resolutions, all of them, including this one, including 2334, and many other resolutions. So we will keep knocking on their door. In addition to that, the fact that we are talking to you and through you to the whole world of the position of the Arab countries, the OIC countries, and others who are with us from other groups is an indication that the position of the international community is crystal clear and is in line with international law and in line with the principles enshrined in the Charter of the UN. So it is your duty to help us, and through your outfits, tell the whole world that we are for peace, we are for justice, we are for putting an end to the war, we are for resolving these issues through peaceful method, as the Charter tells us. And I believe the great majority of nations and people, they don't want wars. They want to see peace, and they want to see the end of the tragedy of the Palestinian people. We cannot be left behind. This illegal occupation has to end. We need to enjoy freedom and dignity in our homeland. They want.
Let's make a deal. Let's make a deal. All your friends are in. You're the only one who has not, signed the papers, man. Let's make a deal. Just, we need you. We need you, man. We need you to accomplish our goal. So stop fighting it. Just sign the papers, man.
To kick us away from our land. Look at our people in Gaza. They endured that no person can endure, but yet they are refusing to leave the homeland. We have no homeland except Palestine, including the precious part of it, which is Gaza, including the jewel on top of the crown, which is Jerusalem and the Holy Land and the holy sites in Jerusalem. And we are grateful for the 8 ministers, the Arabs and the Muslims, who issued a statement against the desecration of Al-Aqsa Mosque and Al-Haram al-Sharif.
Okay, so if Palestine humbles itself to those little hats, right? Everybody else follows. Iran will follow eventually. This is what's going on. He said himself he doesn't want to keep dealing with this nonsense. They want peace. And those little hats want the land and want control. They want to implement AI. All right, so this is for people who say that there are no deals being made back doors. All right, that they're not speaking to each other. Somebody is talking to someone, but you're not being told anything. But sometimes, through the hand of Yahweh Shem Shai, things do come to the light. They have to. They have to. It's prophecy.
Yeah, it's obviously a fast-moving situation, and I know, like yourself, I mean, you'll be working your sources in the region, but an Iranian official linked with the talks between the US and Iran has sent me a message this evening. And remember, it's early in the morning out here in the region, and they've said to me that a deal with President Trump is no longer feasible at this stage. And this official blamed President Trump.
At this stage. This just happened a day ago. All right? It just leaked. But the wording
for the current situation inside Lebanon and the current escalation. And this official Trump is no longer feasible at this stage. And this official blamed President Trump for the current situation inside Lebanon and the current escalation. I presume the escalation meaning what the Iranian response has been, given it's been Iran's red line not to attack Beirut all along. So this is a pretty interesting development, because it means that Iran now feels, and this is someone linked with the negotiations, feels that it cannot now have open dialogue with President Trump and sign off on a deal which both sides have been working pretty tirelessly, it has to be said, over the last month or so, maybe even longer, to get this deal over the line. So right now, the Iranians not in the mood to have discussions with the US to get a deal, to get this MOU, this framework, which would try and bring a conclusive ending to this conflict over the line.
That's where China steps in. That's the next step. That's all I have for now. Shalom.